Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel, where I will try to help you make that purchase decision. Today, I will be doing an in-depth review of a very special headphone, the Focal for Bentley Radiance. This closed-back headphone was a product of a collaborative effort between Focal, Naim Audio, and the luxury car manufacturer Bentley Motors. Just a quick disclosure, this is my personal unit. No one asked me, paid me, or influenced me to say anything good and or bad about this headphone. As always, all thoughts and opinions are my own. So with that in mind, let's begin with the review. The headphone comes packaged in a very nice looking black leather effect box that already screams premium and expensive. In the box, there's an engraved word Radiance, which is the name of the headphone, and also the Focal and the Bentley logo. Inside the box, you will immediately notice an eye-catching carrying case, which looks like a high-end handbag. And I don't blame you if you initially thought that this was a handbag, because the aesthetics of this were truly amazing for a carrying case. And also, you will be getting some nice paperwork. Inside this gorgeous looking carrying case, you will be getting the Radiance, a 3.5mm headphone cable, and a 6.35mm headphone jack adapter. The cable itself is aesthetically pleasing with its copper finish and diamond motifs, which complements the overall look and aesthetics of the headphone. However, the cable has somewhat had its own memory that just bends to weird shapes and that it's hard to get them undone or reshaped to your own liking. They just curl in a way that you don't like them to. Also, the length of the cable was for me on the shorter side. And I wish the cable was a little bit longer than this. In terms of overall aesthetics, it is very evident that there was so much love, effort, and attention to detail that was put into this stunning headphone. According to Focal, they've only used quality materials such as full-grain leather and solid aluminum. Also, the copper accents that we are seeing and the diamond motif found on the headband, the grill of the earpads, and the cable connectors of the headphone are all Bentley inspired. As you can see, there was so much leather in this headphone. Full grain leather headband with a diamond motif on the inside, full grain leather earpads, and immediately behind this diamond motif grille was also a refined Bentley full-grain leather. Summing it all makes the Radiance one of the most elegant, stunning, and gorgeous-looking headphone that I've ever seen. For comfort, the Radiance was outstanding. It has a very comfortable headband with a decent weight distribution that prevents pressure from building up at the top of my head. Additionally, the full-grain leather earpads were so soft and cushiony, providing excellent comfort to the user and greatly offsetting the clumping force on this headphone. Not to mention that the leather earpads also provide decent passive noise isolation. My only concern is that the earpads can be a little bit warm to my ears during an extended listening session. This kind of expected because the earpads are made up of full-grain leather. Another worth noting is that if your ears were on the bigger side, there's a tendency that the upper or lower part of your ears can get caught in between the pads and the skin immediately behind your ears. This can be potentially uncomfortable for others, so keep that in mind. As for the clamping force, this is not too tight, nor too loose, just enough to fit snugly and prevent the headphone from falling off my head when I move around or tilt my head to different sides or angles. Now, let's talk about how this headphone sounds. The Radiance is punchy. It's got a lot of bass and sub-bass, but it's not overwhelming. It is not muddy by any means. And it's not as tight as a plainer headphone, which is understandable given that this is a dynamic driver headphone. This headphone is a little bit warmer and more bass-leaning kind of tuning. Overall, I think the Radiance is very enjoyable, very fun, and clean bass response. Personally, I don't really enjoy much the mid-range of the Radiance. The reason for that is because it feels like the lower mid-range overpowers the upper mid-range just a little bit. The Radiance sounds a little bit stronger in the lower end and a little bit shallow in the upper mid-range. Unlike the Focal Clear MG Pro that has a well-balanced mid-range, wherein the lower and the upper mid-range were both great on the same level. Vocals and instrumentations on the Radiance had a rich, accurate body with well-reproduced fundamental tones, especially in the lower mids, while the upper mid-range sounds a little bit more refined and slightly turned down. The treble on Radiance was incredibly fast with incredible tonality. It is leaning a little bit on the warmer side and is remarkably smooth. Without a doubt, this is also an impressive region of the Radiance. It is not too dark nor too bright, just enough for me to have an enjoyable and laid-back listening experience. I think it is safe to say that the Radiance is good for those individuals who are treble sensitive. Focal headphones are known for having a very good dynamics, and the Radiance is no exception, though it is focused a little bit more on the mid-range and treble. This amazing dynamic quality allows the Radiance to sound very energetic, fun, engaging, and lively, which can bring some extra spice to the music that you are listening. Overall, I find the dynamics of the Radiance to be really impressive. The soundstage on the Radiance was kind of intimate. With all the music that I've listened to, they all feel like they are coming close to my ears. The soundstage of the Radiance reminds me of my Sennheiser 660S, which is also intimate and far from being a wide sound staging headphone by any means. Personally, I would want the Radiance to sound a little bit wider and taller because it will scale the already decent bass on this headphone. When it comes to imaging, I think the Radiance nailed it pretty well. It has great imaging that accurately positions sounds. It is more than capable of pinpointing the location of the sounds in 360 degrees, giving you a realistic listening experience. Personally, the Radiance is a great headphone and is an upgrade to the Focal Elegia. Overall, it is a good-looking and well-sounding headphone. Not to mention that it is very efficient and easy to drive. You can even drive the Radiance straight from your phone, but of course, I wouldn't recommend that. The only thing that stops me from 100% recommending the Radiance is that there are also other headphones on the market within a similar price range that perform pretty well in their own right. There's the Odyssey LCD-X and the Hi-Fi Man Aria, for example. Both headphones sound really amazing and can even outshine some of the sound qualities of the Radiance. However, the LCD-X and the Hi-Fi Man Aria need decent amplification to perform well, unlike the Radiance, which is a very efficient and easy to drive headphone. I suggest auditioning these three headphones first and comparing them on your own before deciding which one should you add to cart.